What's up, Internet world? We're the News 19 Nerds. I'm Michael.
I'm Leroy.
What are we talking about?
We're doing our second review from Boom Studios of a book called SPARROWHAWK.
Pharaoh Fight Club.
What?
Fairy Fight Club.
Fairy Fight Club?
Fairy Fight Club.
Can't be Fairy Fight Club.
Because we talking about it?
Yep.
Oh, fair enough. I don't know. That's what it says on the back of the book. It's called a fairy...
Teen Victorian Fairy Fight Club.
Yeah. I think some of those words are accurate. It's teens. It's Victorian era.
I wouldn't say a fight club.
I wouldn't say a fight club either.
No.
I think that was probably a catchy way to say something, but
Yeah.
I really wouldn't say a fight club.
Yeah.
Because she kind of just...
Well, let's start. Here's the description.
Okay.
So we were sent this book last week.
We got review copies, advanced review reader, screener copies or whatever.
For you guys, the book came out to comic book stores August the 14th, and it's in bookstores this week, August the 20th. It's written by Delilah S. Dawson, drawn by Matthias Basla.
Who's Rebecca Nalty?
I believe she is the inker.
Okay. Rebecca.
Yeah, it's
like,
on
like
there,
we
yeah.
can't open the book up.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
She's not listed on the press release.
Right. Okay, so let's see who.
So,
Colored by Rebecca Nalty.
okay,
Chapters 2 to 5.
inker, yeah.
Okay.
And then covers by Miguel Mercado, series designer. These are the people they mentioned. It just says on the back, members of the Boom Studios team.
Okay.
So, SPARROWHAWK. Here's the description. After a young woman is kidnapped by an evil fairy queen and trapped in a far-off realm, she must survive Teen Victorian Fairy Fight Club in order to get back home. As the daughter of a naval captain born of two different worlds, Artemisia has never fit in with her father's family, nor the high-class life to which they belong in the complicated time that is London 1851. However, when she is targeted by the fairy queen, pulled into another realm with even deadlier threats than she's experienced in the Victorian era, Art finds she has no choice but to try and save the world that has always hated her.
I think it's Artemisia.
What did I say?
Artemisia. I think it's Artemisia.
Mm.
Yeah.
Potato, sir.
Okay. Fair enough. Just go by Art. She goes by Art. So
She goes by Art.
She
okay.
goes by Art.
What'd you think?
I liked it overall. I like the ideas behind it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought some of it might have got a little clunky in places. I'm trying to do like guess overall things, right? Because we're not doing spoilers, right? We want people to read it because we didn't do it for the Magician's one. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Plus, you want people to read it, and it's a good jumping on point because it seems like they're going to go further with the story.
Yeah. I feel like some parts it got a little clunky in terms of maybe some of the dialogue is kind of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was on purpose or just the way maybe I didn't like how the writer was doing certain things, but I like the overall idea. I mean, you have terms of like cycles and stuff repeating itself and like kind of nature versus nurture in some parts. I thought.
That's interesting.
Kind of idea of whether you're born bad or whether it can be within you or can you redeem your upbringing kind of stuff. A lot of things about classism and stuff, racism, which was cool. I liked what they were going for. I just don't know if it was executed as well as it could have been.
That's kind of how I felt. I really liked the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things, I didn't read the back. I went into it blind, not
Okay.
knowing anything about it. I just read it. I liked it. I liked the characters in it. I liked the world that was created. The
Mm-hmm.
world building was very good. I thought the dialogue left a lot out. So the one thing that bothered me was, it says that it's a young woman is kidnapped by an evil fairy queen. We don't know anything about this world, and the world is just thrust upon her, and we're learning the world as she's learning it.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that bothered me about it was the matter-of-factly way she went about it. Does that make sense? So
you felt like even though she was a newcomer, she knew too much about it?
Not that she knew too much. The one thing that I don't like about some of these books, or just when people are introduced to this fantastic world, it's almost like, okay, cool. Like
They're not in awe as much as you would think.
Yeah,
being
like
in this whole new place.
Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I get sucked into a magical world, I'm gonna have some questions. And she did have some questions, but she was like, I have been kidnapped. And I'm like, who says that? maybe, and I didn't like that, but I love the characters that they presented.
So I feel like we need to do a non-spoiler and a spoiler, just because I want to talk more in depth about the book.
Okay, we
So
can do that.
I feel like
Okay.
almost like we do our movie review.
Okay,
So we can do non-spoiler stuff now.
So this is still non-spoiler. I'm gonna be honest with you. As much as I didn't like the dialogue, I love the world that they created, and I love the conflict that was there. I love the conflict that Art was up against in trying to get back to the world who did not like her. And what I would have liked to have seen in the first issue is more of building that world to give her that motivation to get back.
I kind of wonder like what the behind the scenes politics were of the thing in terms of like, so you know way more about comics and graphic novels than me. When this comes out, is it going to be sold just as this, or is it going to be sold as issues?
It's just as this.
Okay.
Because the thing is with this, what Boom appears to be doing, a lot of companies are doing this. We saw it with the books over there. If you reach over there, the DC.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
So some books are individual issues. Some books are graphic novel. So basically, this has already come out, from what I'm gathering. Because if you looked, remember it was like issue 1.
Yeah.
And then it had, so these have already come out.
Right.
And this is the end of issue 1. And we see Artemis at the end of the issue, kind of like she is on the cover. And then you see who drew the cover for issue 1. You see Stephanie Hans. And I would have liked for them to take issue 1 and build that world up.
Well, I wonder
both
if,
worlds.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a thing of, hey, you have a certain page count of how many pages you can do, or minimum like that.
I think what it is that you have a writer who probably is used to, who's learning to get her footing, because Delilah is a YA novelist. So I'm wondering if that's part of the reason why this book is scripted that way, is because she's used to writing and being able to give descriptions and give this backstory in a book that you're not able to do if you're not used to that format, writing that format. It takes a while for certain people to translate, to cross over. Some YA novelists get it. Hope Larson is one of them, who does Goldie Vance for Boom Studios, I believe. Let me know if I'm right. But Ta-Nehisi Coates is a prose writer, writes essays, and it took him a little while before he got his footing. He started with Black Panther, and then he's now writing another version of Black Panther, which to me is far superior than the first one he did.
Is he still doing Captain America?
Yep, and it's very good. So I don't know. It may take a while for her to find her voice, and I think that might be part of why it is. Because I really felt like they could have done more with building that world before she went into the fairy world, and the characters and who the evil fairy queen is. So I like where they're going, especially the end. The end really got me to where I was like,
I didn't know. Let's continue this.
So I really like the end in the sense of, I know where you're going and I want to see how you get there.
So like it tells a story. There's a beginning, middle, and an end for the most part. I mean, it's a complete arc, but they definitely leave you wanting more. They have a kind of a cliffhanger that could, or not a cliffhanger, but you could see where they could.
Oh, it's definitely a cliffhanger.
Yeah, that's true.
It's definitely a cliffhanger.
Yeah. All right, so non-spoilers. We like it, right?
I'd say out of 5 fairies, I give it 3.5. The art, to me, the art was very well done. The covers were beautiful.
Yeah.
Also, Matthias, Basla, his artwork is very otherworldly. It's not your typical fairyland art. It's not your typical, these are elves.
It's not like a fairy and like of a nice, idyllic, peaceful thing. It's kind of dark and twisted and whatever, which is different.
It's very Tim Burton-esque. It's very, and so I really think that lends itself to creating this world that like I said, I really like this book. So for me, a 3.5 out of 5.
I'd agree with that. 3.5 out of 5. I would say go get it for sure.
Oh yeah, if you have the time, if you have youngsters, excuse me, the woman who wrote it, Delilah, she comes from a YA background. Here's some of the stuff that she's written: Star Wars Galaxy Edge, No Country for Old Gnomes, and Star Pig.
Sure.
So that's some of the stuff that she's written. I like it. I think it could be better, but I like it.
All right, so now we get into spoilers.
So, if you want to know more about the book, we're about to get into spoilers. So, you have been warned.
Yeah. Spoiler talk. So, I like the idea. It almost like it's a cycle repeating itself of a new queen or somebody coming into the world to take over one person's body.
I didn't look at it as a cycle.
Okay.
I mean, keep going, but I didn't see it as a cycle.
Well, I mean, it just seemed, or not that part, but just a part of her, I guess, getting these powers by killing other beings for sustenance and strength and getting stronger. And she would put the flower in her head and then she'd go to sleep. Or she'd swoon, as they say, and pass out and come back. That seemed like it was a cycle. She was losing more of herself, becoming more monstrous or something.
I would say she was losing. Well, I don't want to say she was losing herself. I think the thing that I got from it was she had to make a choice. Mm-hmm. And the character that she met along the way.
The rabbit thing?
No, that's the Abomination.
Yeah. Which we're talking about Warren?
Yeah.
The prince?
Yeah. So I felt like he was one version of what I don't want to say what she could be. He was presenting her with the path that she could take. Yeah. And she chose to go down another road. And because she was so focused, it's almost like it was really much kind of like, here's one way you can go about getting a goal or achieving a goal, but there's more than one path to that goal. Right. And she chose a very destructive path.
Like the rabbit was on, or whatever, what's his name?
He's an abomination.
Yeah, but he has a name too. Yeah, but he also has a name. Let's see.
I liked him.
You would like him.
Well, I liked him because at the end of the day, I mean, we're giving spoilers. He's...
What are you about to say? He's right?
No. He's the real villain.
I mean, he's kind of like the one pulling the strings, making her
he's the real villain.
Do whatever.
Well, I'm not even, he's not the one making her do whatever. He is the real villain of the book.
You think more so than the queen?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because the queen, her motivations were, I just want to take over the world. His motivations, he's more manipulative. Yeah. And I really felt like he was the main villain than the evil fairy queen.
Okay. I wish I could figure out what his name was. I don't say maybe. I know they said I thought he had a name besides Abomination.
Warren kept calling him the Abomination.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he called himself. The Unsee Lie.
Yeah, that was a weird. I thought I read it like as unseelie, like as unseemly or something, but I don't know.
I thought unseelie at first, but then I saw Unsee Lie, and
yeah.
And then I was like, I think that's a play on words because in the book, everything isn't as it seems. Yeah. And he admitted
Crispin.
Yeah. Okay.
Crispin.
Yeah.
What's the rabbit's name?
He was, or the vampire rabbit.
Yeah. I read did you read like the forward thing afterwards on her? Mm-mm. She said she got the idea kind of like from Alice in Wonderland.
Mm. It had that
with like him being like a Cheshire cat, kind of just being over your shoulder, kind of tempting you to do whatever. And it definitely felt like that as this girl trapped in this world trying to figure out what she wants, how she wants to get back home. I thought it was really cool. The one person that she loved, I'm sorry, the girl.
Her sister.
Yeah. She kills her, or she kills whatever manifestation of her comes up because she doesn't even remember who that is anymore. I thought that was sad, but also really cool and kind of tragic that she's excised that part of her or forgotten that part.
Remember, she gave up that part because that was the deal she made with Crispin.
Yeah.
Because Crispin, and that was the thing that Warren told her, was that he is dangerous. He will never lie to you, but he won't readily tell you the truth. And
Right.
what he said was, in order for me to help you get home, I want
a memory.
one of your most cherished memories.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she was like, she started forgetting who she was, because who she was based on her memories. And so when she saw her sister, that had no reverence to her, because she had no idea who that was, because as Crispin said, when I can't just take one memory, because of the memories are like a string. When I pull one, I'm pulling all of them. So
Yeah.
he knew what he was doing.
Right.
She didn't realize that when she made that deal.
Yeah.
Because remember the first deal he offered her, she didn't take. So then he was like, how about this? And he kept like negotiating for her. And then she struck the deal that she thought was beneficial to her, not realizing the consequences of said deal.
Yeah.
And he knew before any of the things in the book transpires what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I thought that was why I said was very interesting, in the sense of he to me was a real villain.
So do you really think he was created by the Queen? Or is that something like, because I feel like Warren doesn't lie. So when he said that, I believe that. Or at least Warren thinks he was created by the Queen.
Well,
to his best of his abilities.
He knows that the Queen. He knows that the Queen created a lot of monstrosities. Mm-hmm. He believes that the Queen created them, but we also know that there's another land in that fairy world that we still haven't seen yet. Mm-hmm. And we saw Crispin with someone at the end of the book where it's like,
the girl.
He's not done.
Yeah.
He had Art. Art got away, but then Art, after she killed the Queen, what happened? It seemed like she got her memory back, and now she realizes.
Yeah, she has to get the girl back. That one that she pulled in.
But the thing is, her sister made that same deal.
What's her sister's name? Don't know these people's names. I forget them as soon as that.
But Art, remember at the end, because remember Elizabeth was the one who died.
Right.
Elizabeth. There were 3 sisters. Elizabeth died. The youngest one was the one who was the only person nice to her. Her father, and another thing, this is why I said as much as I love the book, I think the problem I had with the book was this: they didn't build up the characters. The father was faceless. The stepmother was faceless up to a point. And the whole idea that this is during the Victorian age of England, 1851, so we know slavery's going on. So basically she's the daughter of a slave. Mm-hmm. And we don't really get into that. And I think that's what really kind of left me a little wanting more, that they didn't flesh out that world before she left it to go to this fairy world. So that I didn't have any investment for her to go back. She had the strong urging to go back, but there was really no urging for her to go back, because at one point
they didn't build up the reasoning behind it. Yeah,
and that's where I feel that's the one problem I have with the book. The one overall arcing problem, that before she left to go to evil fairyland, they didn't build up the world of, this is the world I live in. These people are crappy. This one of my sisters loves me.
Again, I feel like it is a limit. Mm-hmm. I feel like a limit was placed on her in terms of what she could and couldn't get in this amount of stuff.
And I guess that's where I disagree, because I've seen writers in a first issue do more with less. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the problem was they jumped to fairyland too quickly. Mm-hmm. Because to me, I think what they should have done was at the end of the first issue, she's already killed somebody. Yeah. I think what should have happened, maybe, because basically, let's look at this. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages in. She's in fairyland. Mm-hmm. They should have taken more time to build up those relationships and who they were, and then gotten her to this part. Now, I will say this: the most well-rounded character to me is Art and Crispin's relationship. Those two are what drive this book.
Yeah. Well, then, do you feel like if more time was spent building up her initial home world, would we have less time to build up the relationship between Art and Crispin?
No, because Art and Crispin throughout the other 5-6 issues do a good job, because there's really nobody else except Warren and maybe one beast later on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really just Art and Crispin talking, and Crispin nudging her to do more stuff, and Warren being that other voice, who is the son, a pacifist son of the evil fairy queen,
mm-hmm.
who is like, okay, here's one path. He is essentially created as an evil prince who never achieved his potential. Where his brothers have achieved their potential, he has never achieved his.
Well, by whose definition? Like, whose potential?
His potential based on what his mom created him for. Because the Wild Hunt are his brothers.
Yeah.
And they have achieved their potential.
But I mean, Warren, I feel like he's probably achieved his potential.
But what I'm saying is, to Warren, he's achieved his potential.
Mm-hmm.
But to the person who made him the evil queen, she admittedly says he is basically trash. And even Crispin says the same thing. They all view him as this scum in their world. Now,
mm-hmm.
Warren thinks, I'm a pretty decent dude. Art thinks he's a pretty decent dude. But the way Art is going, she doesn't want to go Warren's route. And I think that's something that I really liked. But if you don't build that world in the beginning, everything else is like on a house of cards.
Yeah.
And there's nothing else I'm invested in going forward if you can't give me that.
Yeah. I do like, in terms of overall themes, I do like the fact that she wasn't driven. Like, she meets Warren in the process or whatever, but like her sole purpose is to get back home. Mm-hmm. Despite, not being connected to a dude. Like, her worth isn't based on a man.
No.
Which is cool. I think that's really cool.
Well, she fought that in
right.
the beginning. That was one of the things her stepmother wanted to do. Her stepmother wanted to marry her off. Mm-hmm. And when the older sister died, when the older sister died, she was like, it's now fallen to you. Mm-hmm. Your father has debts. And she's like, look, I didn't ask for these debts. Like, you people don't even like me. Mm-hmm. Like, you saw at one part in the book, she was like, they never even had me sit down for a portrait.
Right.
And her stepmother pointed out that I don't want you. You're not the right color. It's almost, and you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of when Jon Snow came home to Winterfell, and how Catelyn Stark treated Jon Snow.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that relationship, mm-hmm. only a little bit worse, but with that same obligation. Your father brought you home. You are a bastard. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of relationship I got. And I would have liked for that to have been fleshed out a little more in this book to give us that. Because think about it, we felt for Jon Snow. Granted, we had 6 or 7 seasons of that, but right. We felt for him because he was the bastard. He wasn't going to be able to own land. He wasn't going to be the Lord of Winterfell. All of those different things. I wanted to get that from her.
So I like that the character, reading back on what Delilah said mm-hmm. in her, the afterward, mm-hmm. She talked about some of the influences. She talked about Alice in Wonderland, Cheshire Cat. She talked about, which I thought was really cool, or, that she opened up. She talked about the abuse she suffered at the hands of her father. And that helped her write this book. Like, she went through some serious, mm-hmm. really hard stuff based on what she wrote here. And she kind of put some of that in here in terms of whether it's mental or verbal abuse that teens or other people go through, like maybe people who are viewed as outcasts and how they deal with that, which was really cool. Also, she talked about the character is based on Dido Elizabeth Bell. Mm-hmm. Did you see the movie Bell? It had Gugu and Batha in it.
No.
It's a period piece. It's
I know the movie. I know the movie. Yeah.
Like, she's a light-skinned girl.
Yep, she's the daughter of a. I know the movie. I have not seen it, but I have seen the trailer and I know who's in it and I know the story behind it.
But yeah, that's you can kind of see once she said like, oh yeah, I can see that you're pulling it from that. I think that's cool.
Because I know the actress who plays Belle and I have her picture in my head and I just cannot remember her name.
Gugu.
What?
Gugu.
Gugu?
I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's G-U-G-U. Gugu Mbatha-Raw.
Yeah, I don't think that's how you pronounce it.
How would you pronounce it?
I know what she looks like though, but I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name.
I always say Gugu.
Because on the cover of the movie, it's her in a period piece dress.
Yeah. Gugu Mbatha.
And she's also in. She's in Cloverfield, the Cloverfield project.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who she is. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was in Doctor Who.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But, I would have liked for her to spend a little bit more time with that. Mm-hmm. With the whole the relationship between her and her father, her and her stepmother. But I will say this, based on what you said, I do see that she wrote into this character somebody who fights back. Mm-hmm. And I think that is what fuels this character, the abuse that she felt at the hands of her supposed family, is part of the reason why she chose that route versus going Warren's route. Right. Because you saw in the first time she has to fight somebody, she has to kill somebody. She almost dies. She almost gets killed, but she doesn't give up because, one, she's like, I've never been in a fight. And she's always expected to just kind of take it. Mm-hmm. And here's her chance to not take it, to right wrongs. And that's how she feels what she's doing. She feels like she is righting these wrongs. Right. And then all of a sudden, how she's been going about doing it is not the right way.
Yeah. So we keep talking about this forever, but we got other stuff we got to get to. But I mean, overall, like we said, we enjoyed it.
I really did.
I would like to see a part 2, or can definitely see the story continue more.
I really like to see what happens when she goes back.
Yeah, back to the fairy world.
Because not only that, there's a void left.
And the question is, can you just travel back there? Do you have to switch places with somebody else to travel?
Do you always have to travel?
Yeah, there's so many questions we don't know.
So yeah, this world that that Delilah built. I'm very interested in it. So if I don't know if you can find the first issues, or if you just get the trade, or if you just pick it up digitally, but it's out. It came out. SPARROWHAWK arrives in comic shops on August 14th, and in bookstores August 20th. So that's it.